Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. Cosmic dust clung stubbornly to the worn leather boots of Cale Draven, smearing faint gray streaks across their once polished surface. He stepped out of the gray flame, a battered cargo ship scarred with scratches and dents, its engine screeching like a dying iron beast before falling silent. The Tycho 7 spaceport, a colossal steel monolith floating in the void, sprawled before him, a chaotic canvas of flickering neon lights and oppressive shadows. Plasma lanterns pulsed red, blue, and purple, casting their glow on hundreds of unfamiliar faces, smugglers with razor-sharp gazes, mercenaries clad in heavy armor, and dreamers chasing fleeting fortunes at the galaxy's edge. This was no place for the weak, and Cale, a human ship mechanic from Earth, had no intention of becoming prey. His tangled black hair stuck to his forehead, a few strands obscuring the long scar that ran from his temple to his chin, a memento from a mining explosion a decade ago. His piercing blue eyes scanned the crowd, cataloging every detail. A creature with shimmering metallic skin haggling over a plasma rifle, another with tentacles coiled around its neck whispering to a delivery drone, and furtive glances from the dark corners. Cale didn't belong to any faction here. He wasn't a smuggler craving power, a mercenary thriving on bloodshed, or a dreamer destined to be crushed by the galaxy's weight. He had one goal: pay off the crushing debt to the mining corporation that had stolen his youth, then escape this brutal universe for good. In the pocket of his tattered jacket, Cale gripped a stolen energy core from a Galactic Alliance warship. The fist-sized device glowed faintly blue through its metal casing, a ticket to freedom. Worth thousands of credits, it could erase his debt and buy a new ship, but it also made him a target for every thief and cutthroat in Tycho 7. With each step, he felt its weight, not just physical but existential, the burden of choices that led him here, failed heists, broken promises, and a past he couldn't outrun. "Don't let some pickpocket swipe your stash, dumbass." A sharp electronic voice buzzed in his head, familiar yet biting. It was Vox, the artificial intelligence implanted in his left ear from his days with the mining corp. More than a technical assistant analyzing ship systems or flagging threats, Vox was Cale's only companion through years of solitude, always ready with snarky but useful commentary. "Security frequencies in this port have spiked in the last 2 hours. Something big's brewing, and I'd bet my circuits it's not about your debt. Just need to find the buyer for this core, and I'm done." Cale muttered, his voice low and gravelly, his hands still clutching the device in his pocket. He passed through the gate into Tycho 7's underground market, where dim light from stalls bathed ambitious and desperate faces alike. The air reeked of scorched metal, alien spices, and engine oil, a harsh but familiar blend, like the galaxy's own breath. Stalls peddled everything from illegal weapons with gleaming barrels to synthetic food that smelled of chemicals. Vendors' cries in dozens of languages, from the hissing of Klyros to the deep rumble of Zoreth, merged into a chaotic symphony, echoing off the stained steel walls. Cale moved deftly through the crowd, shoulders angled to avoid unnecessary brushes. He knew Tycho 7's rules: stay quiet, avoid eye contact, and never show weakness. A human like him, with no clan or influence, was easy prey for predators. But Cale had mastered the art of invisibility, blending into the galaxy's shadows to survive. He didn't seek trouble, but trouble had a way of finding him. At the market's heart, a dense crowd gathered around a massive crystal platform, hovering on a glowing blue force field. The platform's light reflected off eager faces, painting a surreal scene of curiosity and greed. A creature with 6 arms, each clutching a glowing device, stood atop the platform, its searchlight-like eyes sweeping the crowd. It spoke in a language Cale didn't understand, its voice booming through the audio system, sharp as a blade slicing the air. Cale meant to turn away. He had no time for distractions, but Vox whispered in his ear, tinged with caution. "This isn't your typical black market deal. My data suggests it's a Sarathis ritual, likely a marriage auction. You don't belong here, Cale. Get out now." Cale shrugged, trying to dismiss the warning. Alien rituals and intergalactic politics meant nothing to him. But before he could move, a deep voice thundered from the crystal platform, amplified by speakers, stopping him cold. Honored representatives of the galaxy, we commence the 9th dedication ceremony of Illyria Vaughn, the chosen oracle of Cerithis. The crowd murmured, whispers rippling like waves. Despite himself, Cale felt a surge of curiosity pulling him closer. He pushed through towering figures, a Zorith with crimson skin, a Clyros with glittering tentacles, trying to get a better view, though his instincts screamed to walk away. On the platform, a crystal sarcophagus floated, encircled by a radiant blue force field, like a gem in the darkness. Inside lay a woman with pale turquoise skin, her long white hair flowing like mist, cascading over her shoulders in soft waves. Her golden eyes were wide open, gleaming like twin stars, brimming with intellect and a profound sorrow, as if she gazed through the crystal, touching some hidden depth of the soul. She wore a sheer silver silk gown that clung to her motionless body, but her eyes were alive, holding an entire universe within them. Cale froze, his chest tightening. She wasn't just a princess, she was a captive enigma, a spirit trapped in crystal, calling for release. Illyria Vaughn, the voice continued, resonating through the speakers with cold formality, is the Oracle of Cerithis, blessed with the ability to see through time and space. Yet her body is sealed by the guiding star curse, rendering her unable to move or speak. Marriage to her will grant control of the Cerithis Armada and her boundless knowledge, but her spouse must vow to care for her for life. The Cerithis official, tall and gaunt with glowing membrane wings like faint flames, raised a hand, and the crowd fell silent, anticipation hanging heavy, as if the galaxy itself held its breath. Cale frowned, his mind racing with questions. A marriage auction? At the galaxy's edge, such rituals weren't uncommon, but something felt off. What was the guiding star curse? Why was an oracle with the power to see through time confined like a commodity? Vox whispered, its tone wary. The guiding star curse isn't a disease. It's suppression tech, designed to contain dangerous entities. She's not a victim, Cale. She's a weapon. Vox's words sent a chill down Cale's spine, but before he could process them, a voice pierced his mind, soft yet sharp as a blade. Can you hear me, human? Cale flinched, his eyes locking onto Illyria's golden gaze through the crystal. No one in the crowd seemed to notice, but he felt her presence, like an electric current surging through him, awakening every sense. His heart pounded, and he thought back, his mental voice trembling. I hear you. Who are you? I am Illyria, and I've waited for someone like you for a long time, her voice echoed, carrying both hope and desperation, like a flame flaring in the dark. They want to erase me, but you can change everything. Claim me. Her words were a plea, yet also a command, powerful and undeniable. Cale stepped back, his mind reeling. He'd come here to sell the energy core, not to get entangled in an intergalactic conspiracy. But Illyria's gaze held him, as if peering through the hardened shell he built, the shell of a failed engineer, a dead-ridden smuggler, a man who'd abandoned hope long ago. He shook his head, trying to shake off the feeling, but a memory flashed in his mind. He saw an Earth girl with golden hair, laughing brightly beside him in a grassy field under a sunset. They held hands, and for the first time, he felt peace. But the memory wasn't his, it was alien, implanted in his mind, vivid and painful. That's a memory I pulled from a possible future, where you're happy, Illyria whispered, gentle but forceful. I want you to see you're worthy of it, Cale. He stood stunned, emotions crashing like a tidal wave. He never thought himself deserving of happiness, not after years trapped in debt, isolation, and wrong choices. This fabricated memory made him yearn for something better, yet it terrified him with Illyria's power. She could manipulate his mind, see his future, but why choose to give him hope? Why him, a lowly human in the galaxy's eyes? The crowd's voices snapped Cale back to reality. House Soreth declines! A creature with crimson skin and 4 arms raised its clan symbol, its voice booming like thunder. It turned and left, leaving murmurs in its wake. House Clyros declines! Another declared, its gem-like tentacles glinting, its cold eyes fixed on the crystal sarcophagus. One by one, clans stepped forward, rejecting Ilaria with looks of disdain or pity. With each refusal, Kale noticed a spark in Ilaria's eyes, not sorrow, but cold calculation, as if she were waiting for something, or someone. Vox warned, its electronic voice urgent. Your heart rate's up 32%. She's manipulating you, Kale. Get out now! But Kale ignored it. He pushed forward, weaving through the crowd, his hands still gripping the energy core. A reckless idea flared, claiming Ilaria could leverage Cerithus's power to clear his debt, maybe even build a new life. But deep down, he knew the real reason. Ilaria's gaze had awakened something in him, a part that wanted to do right, a part he thought had died, buried under years of failure and loneliness. Suddenly, a familiar voice cut through his thoughts like a knife. Kale Draven, you traitor! Kale spun around, his heart sinking as he saw Mara, a mercenary who'd worked with him on a failed job 3 years ago. That job had shattered their crew, leaving Kale with a massive debt and Mara with burning hatred. Her fiery red hair glowed under the neon, her eyes glaring as if she could tear him apart. Think you can dodge your debt by playing hero here? She shouted, her hand gripping a plasma pistol, finger on the trigger. The crowd buzzed, curious eyes turning to Kale. He felt the past choke him, memories of the failed job flooding back, the explosion shaking the mining site, his crew's screams, and Mara's accusing stare as the corporation abandoned them. He wanted to explain, to say he hadn't betrayed the team, that it was a mistake, but the words stuck in his throat. Mara raised her gun, its barrel glinting with plasma, but Ilaria's voice rang in his mind, strong and reassuring. Don't fear her. I see a future where you overcome her. Trust me. Kale took a deep breath, standing tall, facing Mara. His blue eyes locked onto hers, unwavering. I'm not running, he said, his voice steady, cutting through the tense silence. But today, I'm not fighting for you or the past. I'm fighting for her. He pointed to the crystal sarcophagus, where Ilaria lay, her golden eyes blazing. His resolve made Mara hesitate, her eyes flashing with surprise, as if she hadn't expected Kale to change. She smirked, tossing back a threat. You'll pay, Draven. I swear it. Then she turned, her red hair vanishing into the crowd, leaving Kale with a racing pulse and a sense of looming danger. Kale faced the Cerithus official, who bellowed with contempt. Who are you to disrupt our sacred ritual? The crowd fell silent, scornful eyes fixed on the grimy human, his boots caked with cosmic dust. Kale felt the weight of their disdain, like a blade to his pride, but he didn't back down. Kale Draven, independent engineer from Earth, he replied, his voice calm but sharp, like the knife he'd used to cut cables in the mines. I want Ilaria Vaughn. His words struck like lightning, shaking the room. Laughter erupted like a tidal wave, from metallic-skinned creatures to drones with robotic voices. The official sneered, his membrane wings quivering with rage. A human? You have no clan, no power, nothing. This is a sacred ritual, not a game for scum. The insult stabbed Kale, but he stood firm, his gaze fixed on the crystal sarcophagus. Don't back down, Ilaria's voice echoed, stronger than ever, like a flame piercing the dark. I choose you. They can't refuse if I agree. Her words were his strength, a wind pushing him forward. Kale shrugged, feigning calm though his heart pounded like a hammer. I don't see any rule banning a human, he said, a hint of mockery in his tone. Or are you afraid a Terran will outshine your precious nobles? His audacity stunned the crowd. Some creatures muttered, their gazes shifting between scorn and curiosity. The official stammered, his wings trembling violently. You dare! I dare! Kale cut in, stepping onto the platform with a confidence he didn't know he had. He placed his hand on the crystal sarcophagus, and a strange energy surged through him, as if he'd connected to something greater, an ancient power, a destiny he couldn't foresee. I claim Ilaria Vaughn as my wife, he declared, his voice ringing through the market, bold and unshakable. The auction hall exploded in chaos. Representatives roared in protest, hisses and growls echoing from all sides. Security drones hovered closer, their red eyes glowing like embers. The official raised a hand, barking, "Seize him!" But before anyone could act, the crystal sarcophagus blazed with blinding light, like a star igniting. A holographic projection materialized in the air, displaying a single word in Sarah's script, radiant and undeniable: consent. The crowd fell deathly silent. The official stared at the projection, his face pale, his wings drooping as if drained of life. "The Oracle chose him?" he mumbled, his voice trembling, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Cale stood there, projecting confidence, but inside, a storm of doubt and adrenaline raged. He didn't know what he'd just done, but Illyria's gaze, piercing through the crystal, carried a promise that this was only the beginning. An invisible bond had formed between them, powerful and unbreakable, like a thread of fate drawing them together. As Cale prepared to leave with the sarcophagus, towed by a hovering drone platform, a cloaked figure emerged from the shadows, its eyes glinting like meteorites. "Think you've won, human?" Its icy voice echoed through the crowd, like a curse. "The Oracle isn't a prize. She's the key to this galaxy's destruction." Before Cale could react, the figure vanished into the crowd, swift as a specter. On the floor where it stood lay a small device, glowing faintly blue, identical to the energy core in Cale's pocket, but radiating an unmistakable aura of danger. Cale knelt to pick it up, a cold dread spreading through him. He looked at Illyria, her golden eyes watching silently, as if she knew more than she revealed. His heart raced, not from fear, but from the realization that he'd stepped into a game far bigger than he'd imagined, a game with unknown rules, unseen enemies, and no way back. Yet as his gaze met Illyria's, he felt a spark of hope, small, fragile, but enough to keep him moving. The galaxy might stand against him, but he wasn't alone. Not with her. The gray flame shuddered violently, as if the galaxy itself were trying to rip it apart. Chunks of cosmic rock from a meteor field at the edge of the Tycho system slammed into the ship's hull, their impacts ringing out like hail on a steel roof. In the cargo hold, Illyria's crystal sarcophagus stood silent, secured by steel straps, its blue glow casting eerie light on the rusted walls, a haunting blend of advanced technology and decay. Cale Draven sat in the pilot's chair, his hands gripping the controls, knuckles white from the strain. His piercing blue eyes were glued to the radar screen, where 3 red blips pulsed, tailing them like the eyes of predatory beasts in the dark. "Enemy ships are Black Knight class, heavily armed." Vox, the AI implanted in Cale's left ear, reported in its cold, electronic monotone. "Armament includes plasma cannons and guided missiles. Survival odds in combat, 12%. I recommend diverting to the nearest planet and hiding in its atmosphere." Cale growled, his deep voice thick with frustration. "Shut it, Vox. If we stop, they'll tear us to shreds before we can land." He tweaked the engine systems, coaxing the gray flame to accelerate, though the screeching engines warned it wasn't built for this kind of chase. Each tremor of the ship was a reminder. This was a fight he hadn't chosen, but one he couldn't escape. "You're afraid?" A soft yet sharp voice echoed in his mind, cutting through the chaos like a melody in a storm. It was Illyria Vaughn, communicating through a telepathic link Cale was still struggling to grasp. He glanced back, his steely blue gaze meeting the crystal sarcophagus, where her golden eyes burned bright, unwavering despite her motionless body. "Don't let fear take control. We're stronger than them, Cale." "Stronger?" Cale let out a bitter laugh, his voice reverberating in the empty cockpit, accompanied only by the Engine's whine. "You're trapped in that box, and I'm a ship mechanic with a plasma pistol running on fumes. How do we beat these hunters?" He shook his head, trying to focus on the radar, but Illyria's presence in his mind was like a warm flame, comforting yet disorienting. It stirred something deep within him, a part he'd buried under years of debt and isolation. "They're not Sarah's," Illyria replied, her voice tinged with a haunting certainty, as if she saw truths beyond the stars. "They're the Black Star, a secret cult within the Galactic Alliance. They want me because I can see the future, and aim to control it." Cale frowned, the ship's floor seeming to tilt beneath him, though the gray flame still hurtled forward. What's the guiding star curse, then? He asked, his voice hoarse, fighting back a surge of unease. Why are you locked up like this? A long silence followed, as if Illyria were weighing how much to reveal. Finally she spoke, her voice low but clear. When I was a child, I touched an artifact, the guiding star. It awakened my prophetic abilities, letting me see timelines, events yet to come, and fates intertwined. But it also sealed my body, suppressing my power to keep me from becoming a threat. The Black Star orchestrated it. They don't want a free oracle, because I could unravel their plans, a scheme to dominate the galaxy by controlling the flow of time. Kale's mind spun, as if the galaxy had just unveiled a secret he wasn't ready to face. He thought Illyria was a discarded princess, a victim of intergalactic politics. But she was a living weapon, capable of reshaping the galaxy's fate. And he, a mere human with a stained past, had somehow become her protector. Why me? He asked, his voice rough, his gaze flickering to the sarcophagus. I'm no hero. I'm just a guy trying to survive. Because you see me, Illyria answered, her voice softening, warm like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Not as a tool or a burden, but as a person. You're the first to hear me, Kale. That's no coincidence. Her words pierced a locked-away place in his heart, where dreams of a better life had crumbled to ash. He wanted to argue, to say she'd chosen wrong, but her golden eyes, even through the crystal, silenced him. They were a promise, an invitation to believe in himself. Over the next 2 weeks, Kale and Illyria fled across star systems, from desolate planets choked with dust, where winds howled like grieving spirits, to abandoned space stations, their corridors webbed with metallic filaments. Each stop was a trial, patching broken engines, dodging Alliance patrols, and keeping Illyria's sarcophagus operational. But through those grueling days, their telepathic bond grew deeper, an invisible thread weaving their souls together. They shared not just thoughts but emotions, fragmented memories, and unspoken fears. Kale opened up to Illyria about his childhood on Earth, his voice heavy as he recalled working in mines under a gray sky. He spoke of the stench of coal and metal, 16-hour shifts, and the day he nearly died in a mine explosion, flames searing his skin and leaving the scar across his face. After that, I learned not to trust anyone, he said, staring into the void beyond the ship's window. Not even myself. But as he shared, he felt Illyria's presence, listening without judgment, like a friend he'd never had. In return, Illyria shared her visions, hazy images that flickered through Kale's mind like dreams. He saw interstellar wars, ships burning as they fell from the sky, and civilizations crumbling in smoke. But there were also moments of peace, where species united to build a brighter future, cities gleaming on emerald planets. In one vision, Kale saw himself beside Illyria on a jade-green world, hand in hand, not as her protector, but as her partner, her equal. The image made his heart race, but he pushed it away, telling himself it was just an illusion conjured by her power. Each time Kale touched the sarcophagus to connect with Illyria, he felt a change within himself. His mind sharpened, senses heightened, thoughts flashing with uncanny clarity. Vox commented, its mechanical voice tinged with unease. Your link with her is rewiring your brain. New neural pathways are forming. You're becoming more than human. Kale wasn't sure he liked the idea, but he couldn't deny he felt stronger, as if Illyria were unlocking a buried potential, a spark he'd forgotten since leaving Earth. During a stop at an abandoned space station, its corridors thick with metallic dust and the whine of broken vents, Illyria sent a vision into Kale's mind, not of the future, but of her own past. He saw a young Illyria, barely 10, imprisoned in a frigid Cerithus lab. Scientists with soulless eyes surrounded her, attaching electrodes to her small frame, forcing her to peer into timelines until she screamed, her voice breaking from pain. No one comforted her. No one reached out. The vision ended with an adult Illyria in the crystal sarcophagus, whispering through their link, I share this so you understand why I trust you. You're the first to see me as more than a weapon, Kale. Kale wept, the first tears he'd shed in years. They streamed down his scarred cheeks, hot and unfamiliar. He pressed his hand to the sarcophagus, feeling Illyria's presence through the cold crystal. "I won't let them hurt you again," he vowed, his voice trembling but resolute. "I swear it." Protecting Illyria was no longer a reluctant duty, it was his destiny, a reason to keep fighting in this merciless galaxy. But not everything went smoothly. Vox, Kale's loyal AI companion, began acting strangely. During a routine ship diagnostic, it suggested in a chilling monotone, "Kale, hand her over to the Black Star. They'll clear your debt and more. It's your chance to escape this mess." Kale froze, betrayal cutting deep. He scanned Vox's systems and found a sophisticated virus, planted when he picked up the mysterious device at Tycho 7. The Black Star had turned his oldest friend into an unwilling spy. In a gut-wrenching moment, Kale temporarily disabled Vox, severing its connection to the ship's systems. He sat alone in the cockpit, the dim glow of the console illuminating his scarred face. Loneliness pressed down, as if the galaxy had stolen his last ally. "You're not alone," Illyria's voice whispered, gentle as an unseen embrace. "I'm here, Kale. We'll fix Vox, I promise." Her comfort warmed him, but it also made him realize how much he'd come to rely on her. Their bond wasn't just telepathic, it was an emotional lifeline, something he'd never felt before, even in his Earth days. On a desert planet where red sand swirled with the keening whispers of ancient gods, Kale discovered that the energy core in his pocket and the strange device from the cloaked figure could combine into a key, a device pulsing with blue light, capable of activating the guiding star and breaking Illyria's curse. In a secluded sand cave, he tested it, linking it to the sarcophagus's systems, but Illyria's voice screamed in his mind, desperate, "Stop! If you activate it, I might be free, but it'll kill you!" Kale froze, his trembling hands dropping the device into the sand with a soft clink. Illyria revealed, her voice choked with emotion, "The guiding star requires a sacrifice to break the curse. Our telepathic bond is too strong, you're the only one who can do it, but it'll cost your life." Kale stood silent, desert winds tugging at his dark, tangled hair. He met Illyria's eyes through the crystal, seeing fear and care in their golden depths. "I won't let you pay the price for me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'd rather stay in this sarcophagus forever than lose you." Her words stabbed his heart, piercing the armor he'd built around it. Kale faced an agonizing choice: sacrifice himself to free Illyria or keep running, keeping them both in danger. He chose not to activate the device, not out of fear of death, but because he couldn't bear the thought of Illyria living with his loss. That she would give up her freedom for him showed she cared more deeply than he'd realized. For the first time, he felt a spark of love, not the romantic kind from stories, but a profound connection transcending species and circumstance. The chase's climax erupted when the Black Star caught them at an abandoned space station on the system's edge, its walls scarred with burns and floors cracked like broken bones. Guided by Illyria's telepathic directions, Kale fought a squad of black-armored mercenaries, their plasma weapons glinting in the dark. He moved with agility, using his engineering skills to turn station debris into traps, a live cable electrocuting one soldier, an autodoor slamming shut to crush another's rifle. But the enemies outnumbered him, and each step was a battle against his exhausted body. A plasma shot hit his shoulder, tearing through his jacket and sending blood streaming onto the metal floor. Kale gritted his teeth, pain blazing through him, but he kept fighting, his eyes never leaving the sarcophagus. When a mercenary aimed at Illyria, Kale, with his last strength, crawled to the station's main console. He triggered the self-destruct, a desperate but necessary move. A massive explosion rocked the structure, obliterating the mercenaries and turning the corridor into a sea of red flame. Kale collapsed, blood soaking his jacket, his vision fading. He thought death had come, but Illyria's voice rang through their link, desperate and fierce. "Don't leave me, Kale. Stay with me." When Kale awoke, he was in the gray flames' makeshift medbay, his body aching as if crushed. A rickety automed unit, ancient but functional, pumped painkillers into his arm. Illyria's sarcophagus stood nearby, emitting faint, wheezing hums, like a machine on its last breath. Ilaria whispered in his mind, her voice weary but resolute. I used my prophetic power to pull you back from the brink of death. I peered into the timelines, holding you here. But it cost me, Kale. Part of my strength is gone. If we don't break the curse soon, we'll both die. Kale clenched his fist, the pain in his shoulder flaring, but his resolve burned hotter than ever. He looked into Illyria's golden eyes, seeing fragility and strength intertwined. He didn't know how to save her, but he knew one thing: he'd face the entire galaxy if he had to, for Illyria, for the vow he'd made, and for the part of him she'd awakened, the part that believed even a lowly human could change fate. The faint blue glow from the control panel cast flickering light on Illyria's crystal sarcophagus, its stuttering hums like the gasping breaths of a dying machine. Her golden eyes shone through the crystal, radiant yet fragile, a flame wavering before a gale. We don't have much time. Her voice echoed in Kale's mind, weak but resolute, a distant call piercing the void. The guiding star must be activated, no matter the cost. Kale gripped the dual device in his hand, the stolen Alliance energy core and the cryptic gadget from Tycho 7's cloaked figure. It glimmered with pale blue light, like a captive star, its weight not in metal but in the choice it forced upon him. Activating it could kill him, its power tearing through his human frame, but the thought of Illyria imprisoned another day was a torment he couldn't endure. He clenched the device, pain flaring from the wound in his shoulder, dried blood crusting his tattered jacket. If I do this, he rasped, his voice rough. Promise me one thing, live well, Illyria. Change this damned galaxy. He tried to smile, but it twisted, pained, a new scar on his already scarred face. Illyria didn't answer immediately. Through their telepathic link, Kale felt a surge of emotions, gratitude, anguish, and something deeper, unnamed but powerful, flowing like the currents of the stars. I promise, she whispered at last, her voice trembling, each word a struggle. But I want you with me, Kale. Not just today, but forever. Her words stabbed his heart, sweet and agonizing. He wanted to say he longed for that too, that she'd given him a reason to live, but the words caught in his throat, choked by the fear of losing her. He stood, each movement a battle against his battered body, and dragged the sarcophagus through the ship's hold toward the dead planet where the black star hid the guiding star. The planet loomed on the viewscreen, a gray rock shrouded in dust and the ruins of an ancient civilization, a cosmic tomb. The temple housing the artifact, its walls etched with glowing blue runes, radiated mystery and menace, as if guarding a secret not meant for the living. Vox, restored after the Black Star's virus but still frail, warned in a halting electronic tone. The temple's energy exceeds all measurements. Activating the guiding star could annihilate this planet, and us with it. Kale didn't care. He hauled the sarcophagus through the temple's dark corridors, the runes' light illuminating his scarred face, his piercing blue eyes glinting with resolve. Lethal traps emerged along the way, plasma blades snapped from walls, slicing the air with chilling hisses, floors collapsed, revealing pits of metal spikes, and guardian drones with blazing red eyes moved like specters. Kale's engineering skills countered each threat. His deft hands severed blade cables, hacked pressure sensors, and short-circuited drones with a makeshift pulse. But every step was a trial, each motion reopening the wound in his shoulder, blood seeping through his jacket. Illyria guided him through their telepathic link, her voice a beacon in the dark. Left, there's a pressure sensor, she warned, and Kale leaped over a panel just as it fell into a spiked abyss, the clang of metal echoing in the corridor. Careful, the drone ahead has an unstable core, she said, and Kale lobbed a scrap of metal to jam it, triggering an explosion in a shower of green sparks. Their coordination was seamless, a dance of tech and prophecy, human and oracle, bound by trust. They reached the temple's heart, a vast chamber with a ceiling like a starless night, runes pulsing like distant stars. At its center floated the guiding star, a black crystal radiating light like a miniature black hole, devouring all brightness around it. It hummed with ancient energy, whispering cosmic secrets. Kale set the sarcophagus down, his hands trembling as he prepared to connect the dual device. He knew this might be his final moment, but fear didn't grip him, not with Ilaria beside him, their telepathic bond stronger than any weapon. Before he could act, Ilaria pulled him into a shared vision, not a single memory or future, but a vivid tapestry, as if the galaxy unfurled before them. He saw them on an emerald planet, sunlight filtering through towering trees, their leaves glinting like jade. 2 children ran around them, laughing, a boy with Kale's tangled black hair and turquoise skin, flashing his father's grin, a girl with Ilaria's golden eyes, radiant with her mother's wisdom. Kale and Ilaria held hands, free from the sarcophagus, from pursuit, surrounded by peace and love. But the vision darkened. The galaxy burned in war, ships plummeting in flames, skies choked with black smoke. Ilaria stood alone, weeping beside a grave etched with Kale's name, her golden eyes hollow. "This is the future if you sacrifice yourself," her voice broke in his mind, each word a blade. "I don't want freedom if it means losing you, Kale." Her pain became his, a tidal wave drowning his heart. He embraced her consciousness through their link, whispering, "We'll find another way. Together." The vision forged their resolve, deepening a love unspoken but stronger than any vow. Kale knew, live or die, he and Ilaria were part of each other, their bond a testament to humanity's unyielding heart. The moment shattered when a familiar voice cut through the dark, sharp as a knife. "Kale Draven, you're one stubborn bastard." Mara, the mercenary from Tycho 7, emerged from a shadowed corner, leading a squad of Black Star soldiers in black armor, their plasma rifles glinting under the rune's glow. Her red hair blazed like fire, but her eyes carried a profound weariness, as if the galaxy had crushed her spirit. "I told you you'd pay," she said, aiming her gun at Kale, her finger on the trigger. "The Black Star offers more than your debts. Hand her over, and I'll let you live." Kale stood before the sarcophagus, gripping the dual device, blood dripping from his shoulder onto the stone floor. He couldn't defeat 10 soldiers, each clad in reactive armor, armed with energy rifles, but surrender wasn't an option. "Mara," he said, his voice low but steady, locking eyes with her, "you were my friend once. You know I didn't betray the crew on that job. We were both played by the corporation, both trapped. The Black Star isn't your way out. They'll use you, then discard you, like they've done to countless others." His voice softened as he spoke of Ilaria, her dream of freedom, how she'd given him hope after years of despair, how she saw worth in a lowly human like him. His words pierced Mara, a spark in the dark. Her eyes flickered with doubt, her gun trembling in her hand. "You always had a way with words, Draven," she said, her voice quavering, as if wrestling with herself. In a sudden move, she turned her weapon on the Black Star soldiers, gunning down 2 before they could react, plasma blasts echoing like thunder. "Run, Kale!" she shouted, diving into combat with the rest, her small frame a whirlwind of defiance. Kale wanted to help, to pull her from the deadly fray, but Mara's scream cut through, raw and breaking. "Protect her! Go!" A shot struck her chest, and she crumpled, blood pooling on the stone, her red hair splayed like a dying flame. Kale clenched his jaw, pain searing him for failing his old friend, but he knew he had to press on. He turned to the guiding star, hands poised to connect the dual device, when the cloaked figure from Tycho 7 glided through the fallen soldiers' bodies like a wraith. He removed his hood, revealing a face eerily like Ilaria's, pale turquoise skin, golden eyes, but twisted with a cold, ambitious smirk. "I am Zorith, the second Oracle," he declared, his voice resonating like a curse. "Ilaria is one of 3 cosmic keys, able to unlock a dimension of infinite power. I will activate the guiding star and claim that power, even if it means annihilating the galaxy." Kale reeled, his mind spinning. Ilaria wasn't the only Oracle, and Zorith, corrupted by the Black Star, was her warped mirror, a being ready to sacrifice everything for dominion. He wanted to ask Ilaria why she hadn't mentioned Zorith, but time was gone. The final battle erupted in the temple, runes flashing like a cosmic storm. Kale, weakened by his wounds, fought Zorith and his drone army, each step a battle against his breaking body. He dodged Zorith's psychic energy blasts, using metal scraps as shields, and fired back with his near-empty plasma pistol. Illyria, from within the sarcophagus, wielded her dwindling prophetic power to conjure illusions, disorienting their foes. One vision showed Zorith consumed by the dimension's power, his body dissolving into cosmic dust, making him falter, his golden eyes flashing with fear. Kale seized the moment, hacking a drone with a jury-rigged jammer, turning it against its allies. But Zorith recovered, unleashing a psychic blast that sent Kale crashing to the floor, blood spilling from a new chest wound. Pain engulfed him, his vision blurring, but Illyria's voice rang out, fierce and desperate, "Get up, Kale. We're not done." In a moment of desperation, Kale realized the only way to win was to destroy the guiding star, not activate it. But doing so might trap Illyria in her immobile body forever, stealing her dream of freedom. He looked at her through the crystal, her golden eyes blazing with fearless resolve. "Do it," she whispered, her voice a promise. "I trust you." With a heavy heart, Kale staggered to his feet, blood dripping, and smashed the guiding star with the dual device. A shockwave erupted, obliterating Zorith and his drones in a blinding flash. The temple began to collapse, stones falling like a deluge, the roar of rubble echoing like a final judgment. Kale dragged the sarcophagus out, each step a war against his collapsing body. He collapsed as the temple was buried in dust, gray sand cloaking everything. He slumped beside the sarcophagus, believing he'd failed. He'd destroyed the guiding star, but Illyria remained imprisoned. He pressed his hand to the crystal, whispering, his voice breaking, "I'm sorry, Illyria. I tried." Tears traced his scarred cheeks, the second time in his life he'd wept, not for pain, but for the agony of losing her. But the sarcophagus emitted a final hum, and its crystal lid slid open, a gateway to hope. Illyria stepped out, her turquoise skin shimmering under the dead planet's faint light, her white hair flowing like mist in the sandy wind. She knelt beside Kale, her fingers brushing his scarred face, soft against his rough skin. Her golden eyes brimmed with tears, but her smile shone like a star in the dark. "You did it," she said, her voice trembling yet strong. "Destroying the guiding star didn't seal me. It transferred its power into our bond. We're one now, Kale, a symbiotic pair, sharing my prophetic strength and your human resolve." Kale stared, disbelief giving way to awe, his heart pounding as if to break free. He pulled her into his arms, feeling her warmth for the first time, her breath mingling with his in the cold air. For the first time, he knew where he belonged, not a smuggler, not a fugitive, but a man loved. He whispered into her hair, "You're free, Illyria. We're free." They sat there, embracing amid the ruins, the sandy wind howling like a song of victory. 20 years later, Kale and Illyria stood on a vibrant green planet, the heart of an interstellar alliance they'd forged. The black star was overthrown, its schemes reduced to cosmic dust. The galaxy entered an era of peace, with species, from the crimson-skinned Zorith to the gem-tentacled Clyros, uniting for a brighter future. Kale, his hair now streaked with silver but his blue eyes still sharp, stood beside Illyria, her turquoise skin as radiant as ever. They had 2 children, a boy with Kale's engineering knack, dismantling gadgets to craft toys, a girl with Illyria's golden eyes, already glimpsing her first prophetic visions. Their family was a symbol of connection, transcending species and origin. But peace wasn't eternal. One day, a signal from the galaxy's edge arrived, carrying images of the remaining 2 oracles, Illyria's sisters, their turquoise skin and golden eyes alight with ambition. They stood on a massive warship, surrounded by a gleaming army, their gazes hungry to devour the galaxy. Kale clasped Illyria's hand, their telepathic bond as strong as the day they shattered the guiding star. "Trouble's coming," he said, a scarred smile curving his lips. "Trouble's already here," Illyria replied, her own smile fierce, her golden eyes blazing with resolve. "But we're human, and we always find a way to win." Above their green planet, a meteor streaked across the sky, as if nodding in agreement. The galaxy might brim with dangers, but together, Kale and Illyria were unstoppable, carrying humanity's spirit, resilient, compassionate, and unyielding. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies not in the battles you fight, but in the bonds you forge. The telepathic link between Kale and Illyria pulsed with shared triumph, a connection sparked by a simple plea, "Can you hear me?" as clear in that first moment as it would be forever. Dear listener, as you turn the final page of this saga of a turquoise-skinned oracle trapped in crystal, and the scarred human who saw her soul, I hope the journey of Kale Draven and Illyria Vaughn has etched itself into your heart. Their story, of trust beyond species, courage and vulnerability, and a love that defied cosmic odds, came to me in those liminal hours where the stars seemed to whisper truths. In crafting this tale of a dead-ridden mechanic and a prophetess bound by a curse, I've ventured into the uncharted reaches of my imagination, the gritty spaceports of Tycho 7, the telepathic threads weaving minds, the shadowy schemes of the Black Star, and the vast political tapestry of a galaxy on the brink. These elements crystallized around a single question: what does it mean to truly choose someone, to see their worth when the universe deems them worthless? Kale, a human dismissed as insignificant, proved that humanity's grit, our stubborn refusal to yield, our knack for turning scraps into solutions, can reshape destinies. Illyria, locked in her body yet limitless in vision, showed that power isn't in freedom of movement, but in the courage to hope and the strength to trust. Their symbiotic bond, forged in sacrifice and defiance, reminds us that our connections, with friends, lovers, or even strangers, can be our greatest asset in life's battles. Mara's redemption, Zoratha's fall, and the looming threat of Illyria's sisters all underscore a truth: we are defined not by what we control, but by what we choose to protect. In our own lives, this story offers a lesson: embrace the people who see you, scars and all, and dare to see them in return. Like Kale, you may feel like a speck in a vast, uncaring universe, burdened by debts, past mistakes, or doubts. But humanity's power lies in our ability to rise, to build from ruins, to find meaning in connection. Whether it's a friend who listens, a partner who stays, or a stranger whose story changes you, these bonds can light the way through the darkest nights. Your thoughts on this journey mean the world. As a storyteller, I navigate nebulous realms of narrative and concept, but without your feedback, I'm adrift, unsure which stars shine brightest. Did Kale's relentless ingenuity resonate with you? Did Illyria's vision stir your imagination? Did Mara's sacrifice hit you as hard as it did me? And those shadowy oracles at the end, do they spark curiosity for what lies beyond? Like Kale reaching for Illyria's mind across the void, I'm extending a hand, hoping to connect. Your reactions, whether gasped in awe, muttered in critique, or pondered in silence, shape the galaxies I'll explore next. Perhaps, like Kale and Illyria, we form a symbiosis, writer and listener, dreamer and witness, each fueling the other's journey through worlds that live in our shared imagination. Until our paths cross again in another tale, I leave you with this: the galaxy is watching, and it's whispering your name. What story will you tell in return? That, dear listener, depends on you.